Season 4 leveling will be a complete different experience. The main reason for that is that Helltide is now available from World Tier 1 and 2 on, and OBOL gambling is finally incredible. That's a little bonus at the end. Keep in mind, you have to start on World Tier 2 this season. Why is that? Because they buffed the experience that every World Tier provides. Right now it says 200%, 100%, and 20. Well, that is 50%, 150%, and 250% right now. So not only do you want to start on World Tier 2, you want to get to World Tier 3 as soon as possible. Now, the way to World Tier 3 is quite exciting because you're going to start with just Helltiding. You go in and preferable with a friend because Helltide has now this threat meter, and the threat meter fills up and then it slowly depletes again while you're getting swarmed by the forces of hell. In general, as you're going through the Helltide, there's just more random events where some worms pop out of the ground, try to spew some hordes of demons on you, and you can gather the baneful hearts to actually summon the Blood Maiden in the middle of the Helltide. And the reason you want a friend is if your danger meter is filling up, his danger meter is filling up as well. And get this, if you're being attacked by your danger meter, so if it depletes, but your friend hasn't filled his up yet, the bonus demons are going to help to fill his danger meter up again, or when yours empty then, and vice versa. So even if you just meet random people that are running around, cling to them, because being not alone in the Helltide will be such an incredible boon for leveling. Keep in mind that the new items, despite having only 2 stats, make leveling so much easier because there's a huge amount of max life, just random armor rolls, even life per second. All of these are incredible helpful to just aid you in your leveling process. You're not going to find any more damage to injured enemies, 20% less crowd control, shrine buff duration, any of these things that you don't actually want. You're just going to find raw good affixes that will help you to level faster. Now, I did beat the Capstone Dungeon 2 World Tier 3, the Cathedral of Light, with level 35. That being said, I could have done it with level 30 already because minions are quite strong right now and the new items made it way easier. So my recommendation is definitely jump as soon into World Tier 3 as possible. Do keep in mind though, if you jump to World Tier 3, every opponent is going to be level 55. Now you might want to say, oh, I'm on World Tier 3, let's start doing Nightmare Dungeons. If you get underleveled into World Tier 3, your first step is always going to be do the strongholds, because any of these strongholds are going to be your level. So if you're going with level 30 or 35 over into the next world tier, the enemies in there are going to be scaled to your level while you're still getting copious amounts of bonus experience. The breaking point is here, level 42 to 45. That's where you start being able to equip sacred gear, and then you're just going to be soaring through World Tier 3 because your equipment is so much improved. And you guessed right, what are you going to do in World Tier 3 now? Helltide. Interestingly enough, as you Helltide now, you can start picking up materials. You couldn't do that before in World Tier 1 and 2, but now in World Tier 3, you're going to start to get living steel, the blood for Lord Zur, all these kinds of materials from the Helltide. That's why I would probably keep my baneful hearts from World Tier 1 and 2 into World Tier 3, because the Blood Maiden tends to drop blood from Lord Zur, and that one is hard to get by, and especially you gotta kill Lord Zur for the Shackle to Endario. Now you might collect the blood and the steel and everything, but you're not going to summon any of these bosses in World Tier 3 because we're just going to be zooming through World Tier 3, and with level 55 already, you can do the Fallen Temple. And as you then do the Fallen Temple with level 55, which is absolutely possible, afterwards, you guessed right, Elias going down, you're going to be focusing on strongholds until you hit level 60, because with level 60, you can then straight up put on all the ancestral gear, and that's the coolest thing, because as soon as you have the ancestral gear on, you're essentially in the end game. And the most important thing about World Tier 4 is, if you're now able to clear a Tier 41 dungeon, you're gonna get only 925 gear. Now you're gonna say Tier 41 Nightmare Dungeon is quite late. I need to get at least level 70 for that. Wrong. I did try it out with Minion Necro just to see how viable it would be. With level 65 as a Minion Necro, I could clear Tier 41 Nightmare Dungeons. And that meant from level 65 on, let's say 70, I could start gathering 925 gear for the end game to get equipped, which also means that from level 65 on, I could start beating these bosses from the boss ladder Solo, Barshan, Gregoire. Maybe not Duriel because I didn't have the poison resistance, but the Beast of Ice and so on were all possible to get beaten solo from level 65 on this season, at least as a Necro. And now for the rest of your level experience, I would start focusing on Nightmare Dungeons, but try here to do highest tier that you can do fast. So you want to do at least tier 41s that you're actually getting the 925 gear. Otherwise, you can just stick to Helltide because doing Nightmare Dungeons before might give you some glyph XP, but it's still only going to give you that 800 XX gear. But if you can do 41 plus, you're going to get huge amounts of glyph XP. You're going to be able to get your glyphs leveled up because you want this season every glyph in your Paragon board level 21 that you use in order to have the best time in the pit possible. Would I go into the pit much before level 100? Honestly, no. The leveling from 60 to 100 is mostly spent in Nightmare Dungeons, as boring as that might be. Personally, don't enjoy Nightmare Dungeons. I like the vaults a little bit more. But you're going to be just rushing through them. You're going to get your 925 gear and multiple sets of that because don't forget the tempering can break your items. And these items, you're going to be tempering 925. You're going to be aspecting them with the highest roll aspects that you have. And then when you actually get towards the level 100, you can slowly start with the first levels of the pit. But unless you have your glyphs leveled up, at some point, you're going to reach in the pit this level where you're like, in order to progress further now, I'll have to do Nightmare Dungeons anyways, to then keep doing the pit. Then you do some more tiers, and then you go back to Nightmare Dungeons because the glyphs just make such a huge difference. To give you a picture, this is the Desecration glyph, which works very good with a Shadow Desecrated ground build and gives 60% bonus on level 21. Before, I think it's around a 40% bonus. So that's plus 60% per 5 willpower. And that's free stats, right? Because if you're going to play Desecration or Darkness or Corporal or whichever you're going to play, you're going to have it in your Paragon board anyways already. And then if you get it to level 21, everything you essentially get through leveling up is free stats. And these free stats matter so much. And before you ask, when are you going to start getting 925 gear in the overworld? From 95 opponents on. From level 92 on, Helltide monsters are going to be level 95, and then you'll start collecting your 925 gear in the overworld. Before that level 92, it technically makes no sense to go back Helltiding in World Tier 4, because you'll just be picking up inferior gear and boss materials. It might be fun to do so, but again, you could be in Nightmare Dungeons to just grind for an hour or two to quickly be level 92 and then pick up the better gear. Now, a few things about OBOL gambling that changed. First, you can get 2,500 now to gamble. Yes, you don't have to, it's just the new limit of picking them up. And Nightmare Dungeons plus the pit will actually drop OBOLs. So everything kind of drops this. But the real kicker is that if you're level 100, you're just going to be rolling 925 gear. Yeah, no more low level gear, just 925. So you're looking for a new helmet, gloves, pants, whatsoever. 925 can come from the OBOL gambling and greater affixes too. So a 3 greater affix item from the OBOL Vandler is possible. Can't wait to just bang out some amazing items there. Now tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what are you going to do this season? How are you going to get yourself leveled up? If you're now looking for one Necromancer build to get you leveled up and the live stream where I actually did the leveling to get a flavor for how to do it, enjoy both of them. And thank you for watching.